Talking Shirts is presented in partnership with White Oak Cottage. For more information, visit whiteoakcottage.co.uk.
Welcome to episode number 137 of Talking Shirts. I'm Mike of Hull Car Shirts, and today we're going to take a look at this 2008 home shirt. Now, the 2008 home shirt is a shirt that we've actually covered 3 times previously and about to before. This one here, I believe to have been match worn by Paul Cooke, but we've also covered shirts worn by Michael Dobson, James Webster and Garrett Crossman across the 2008 home shirt sort of category, if you like. We're 137 episodes deep now, and for me to have got this far without having to cover the exact same shirt twice, I think is an absolute wonderful achievement, really. We've got plenty of shirts that we haven't yet covered, and it is difficult not to cover the same shirt or a crossover of player. However, I'll do my best as we move forward. So yeah, the 2008 home shirt here. So this one was manufactured for Hull KR by Carlotti. We was with those guys for 4 years, from 2005 through to 2008. The shirt, as you can tell, is a predominantly white shirt with plenty of red detailing. So we have got the collar, which I suppose is the best place for us to start. It's kind of like a grandad style collar with a very simple placket. There was a couple of buttons in here. There is only just the one there now, holding this into place here. And then this kind of forms into like a grandad style sort of neckline. It's an interesting collar. It's not a turnover sort of polo collar, but like I say, it drops down into the placket. And then here we have got these 6 pieces of reinforced stitching. Now this is the biggest telltale sign on the 2008 shirts, whether they are match worn, player issue, or whether they're just a club shop bought replica. As I've said, that's the one detailing that is different across these shirts from ones that you will find in the shop. If you've covered, if you've watched an episode of Talking Shirts in the past where we've covered a shirt from the 2008 season, you will have heard me mention that, because as I've said, that is the biggest telltale sign between whether something is player spec or whether it is replica bought from the club shop. We have got this big broad band going directly through the middle of the shirt. It's an extra piece of fabric which has kind of been like stitched on top. You can just see where there's a little bit of overlap there, which almost forms like a little bit of piping. Talking of piping, we have got this extra piece of red that kind of sits at the top and the bottom, which kind of just sort of sandwiches that band through the middle. But they have left a big enough gap for some of the white to appear there as well, just as an added design element. The piping also continues on the sleeves up here on both sides. We've got raglan sleeves on this jersey, and then we've got the piping, as I've said there, which kind of connects the collar all the way through to the under armpit there. We have got a wonderful red hem across the bottom, just a lovely finishing touch, which also features on the sleeves. And then we've kind of got these triangles on the sides, which form on the front and the back, which kind of form sort of like a half diamond, which is another interesting design element to the shirt. When we're focusing on the sponsors, we have got Lloyd's TSB. They're in that collar slot, which has dropped down into sort of the collarbone slot, if you like, really. These have been heat applied, so there is elements of wear to these. When these shirts were washed continuously, that will fade, which is what has happened with these ones here. And then a lot of the branding and sponsorship on here has actually been embroidered into the shirt. So we have got the Parasol branding, Carlotti's maker marker, the Hull Kingston Rovers Club crest with Pride of East Hull underneath. All of those have been embroidered, as has this Lloyd TSB sponsor, and also with their icon logo there as well. All of that has been embroidered into the shirt, which obviously makes this shirt a lot sort of heavier to wear, a lot sort of thicker in the sense of its design. Back in 2008, especially in rugby league, I don't think performance was at the forefront of technology in terms of kits and shirts being produced and created. In the 2020s, it's completely different now. Performance analysts will probably have their part in the design elements of a shirt for the manufacturer, making sure that each club is getting that performance-based material and fabric for sort of sweat wicking, whereas this one is probably more likely to hoard sweat than it is to wick it. So yeah, it's a completely different sort of style of shirt that the Robins players did used to wear in that 2008 season. So taking a look at the sleeves here, we'll just look at one of these, because on this 2008 home shirt, they are exactly the same. So on this sleeve here, again, we've got the white design element that just continues, that main sort of panel to the shirt continues over on the sleeve here. And we do have the 2 stripes coming down the sleeve here. We have seen us use 2 stripes before, we've seen us use 4. Obviously, Adidas have the legal right to the 3-stripe branding in the UK. So this is often a way of just trying to have a nod to that brand without sort of committing any brand infringement. Sometimes I wish that people would just leave well alone. You're never going to recreate that iconic brand with a 2 or a 4. I think sometimes you're better off with just one solid red sort of panel coming down. That would be my opinion anyway. So on this sleeve, we've got another parasol branding. So this is the same sort of style of branding that features on the front of the shirt. However, this is an embroidered patch. This is a fabric patch which has sort of been stitched into the shirt there. And then underneath that, we've got the Engage Super League competition patch. Now, these competition patches were made from felt. And because it's been heat applied to the 2-stripe, you can just see where there's a bit of cracking going on. If I zoom in, you should be able to see where that crack is there in the middle of that, and there's also one in the word super as well there. That's purely just because of the amount of tension that is put onto the patch, and the fact then when you have a player wearing it, you've got game contact, you've got game damage, anything like that can really just put extra pressure on this competition patch. And because it's being applied to that uneven surface, as you can see from the inside here where that has been stitched to the shirt, that is going to always apply enough tension that it's probably going to rip. If you've got one of these and it's in impeccable condition, the chances are it hasn't been worn, or if it has, it hasn't been worn very much at all. So that's been the front and the side of this 2008 home shirt. We're going to have a quick word from our sponsor, then we'll talk about the reverse of the shirt and the man that is Paul Cooke.
White Oak Cottage is a 2-bedroom luxury holiday cottage set in the stunning Lincolnshire Wolds. It has 2 ensuite bedrooms, a hot tub, wood burner, Wi-Fi, electric vehicle charger, and is pet friendly. It is ideally situated in the Wolds, yet only 15 miles from the coast and 25 miles from the historic city of Lincoln. For more information, visit whiteoakcottage.co.uk.
Welcome back to part 2 of episode number 137 of Talking Shirts. Before the break, we was talking our way around Paul Cooke's 2008 home shirt, and we are now going to continue with the reverse. So the back of this shirt, there's not an awful lot to say in terms of the design of the shirt. It is just a white back. Obviously, we've got the continuation and the connection of the raglan sleeves to the main body of the shirt. That does have the red piping on the reverse that did have on the front as well. So that wonderful bit of symmetry there between the front and the back of the kit. On the back here, we have got Lloyd's TSB. Their branding has been embroidered into the back of the shirt again. This time, instead of being in that sort of monotone white outline colour, we have got the full shebang. We've got Lloyd's TSB in their recognisable blue colour with their logo here as well, which was a combination of the Lloyd's Bank and the TSB Bank when those guys merged. Underneath that, we've got Cooke and squad number 6. This has been really well applied. The name and number set from the 2008 season, the one that was used in 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11, is probably my favourite. It's clear, it's easy to read, it's a good size, it's striking. It ticks every single tick box that you need in terms of what a name and number set should look like on the back of a shirt. So yeah, very, very happy with this style. We've got the name Cooke. That has been applied on an arch. During this 2008 season, we did have names applied straight, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in a moment. And we also had some that had a little bit of an arch on them. I'm not quite sure as to why we had 2 different sort of types or styles. The Michael Dobson shirt that I've got has Dobson as a straight line with the number underneath. Obviously this Paul Cooke has got the arch. Obviously Dobson did join part way through the 2008 season. Don't know if that necessarily played a part. But obviously in this one here you can see that it has got that sort of curvature to the name Cooke. We do have some shirts from 2008 where the name was applied at the bottom first. On this one there's nothing underneath here. This wasn't applied at the bottom. It's always been, as is on this specific shirt. You can often see sort of the footprint underneath of anything that's been removed, but as I've said, on this one here, there is nothing. Squad number 6, obviously Paul was, fortunate enough to wear squad number 6 for 3 of his 4 seasons with Hull KR. Obviously that number then was retired during the 2016 season before being brought out of retirement for the 2025 season for a young man called Mikey Lewis, who has really gone on to kind of cement his legacy at Hull KR, aiding the club to that Challenge Cup final victory at Wembley Stadium in June of 2025. A momentous day for all Hull KR supporters, and it was wonderful for us to be able to see that number 6 back on the field as it was in 1980 when the Robins was victorious at Wembley as well. So yeah, a little bit about Paul Cooke. So Paul joined Hull KR in 2007 under very sort of controversial circumstances, shall we say. He went on to make his debut in April of 2007, and he would spend 4-ish seasons at Hull KR. Obviously, he joined partway through that 2007 season, and then he did leave quite early in the 2010 season as well. So it was spread over 4 calendar years. But during that time, he made 61 appearances for Hull KR, 60 of those being starts and then 1 off the interchange bench. He scored 9 tries, he kicked 92 goals and 2 drop goals. Add all that together, and he scored 222 points for Hull KR during his 61 games for the Robins. The best thing for me to say is, if you don't know the story about how Paul joined Hull KR, please get a copy of his book. It's an absolutely wonderful read. Something which I do enjoy reading. In fact, let's go off shoot a little bit. I think I've got one just here on my bookshelf. There we go. Look, should have a bit of pre-planning. I even bought the Hull KR cover to go with mine as well, because naturally it does come with a Hull FC cover, but there was Hull KR covers available as well. So yeah, I went out my way to get one of those. But yeah, this is an absolutely wonderful read. If nobody's out there has read this and you're listening to the story of Paul Cooke, I would definitely recommend this. And that'll kind of give you a little bit into the insight of sort of Paul's journey through his rugby league career. But yeah, he did have a stint with his boyhood club. He's still got quite strong ties with Hull KR now. The current head coach at Featherstone Rovers, giving rugby league coaching a bit of a second crack, really. So yeah, fair play to him. He's the guy who started up the Hull KR shirts collection completely unintentionally in 2012 when he gave me my first ever match worn Hull KR shirt, and that really gave me the bug for what went on to become sort of what this is today. So yeah, really sort of special moment and meaning in my life, and a really good guy who's only ever done really good and really nice things for me. A top bloke who I can't speak highly enough of. So yeah, Paul, thank you very much once again for everything that you've done for me and for the Hull KR shirts collection. So yeah, that's a little bit about the 2008 home shirt, a little bit of a word about Paul there, giving his book a plug all these years later. I think it's been out for sort of probably maybe 6 or 7 years now. It's been out quite a while, but yeah, definitely if you don't have a copy of Judas, the story of Paul Cooke, yeah, definitely grab yourself a copy. And if you're an avid rugby league fan, you might even still learn a thing or two, because like I say, I really did enjoy giving that book a read. So yeah, that's everything for episode number 137 of Talking Shirts. Thank you very much for checking in, and if you stayed this long, then brilliant. Thank you so much. Please feel free to check out our social media channels. There's all sorts of things going on there at the moment. I try and keep my content as relevant and as up to date as possible. The website Hull KR Shirts, I should probably do a little bit more with that. It is kind of just a bit of a sitting museum, if you like, for people to be able to sort of check in at their leisure. But I do have the intention of creating some more sort of unique content on there for people to be able to view and explore as well. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that over the coming weeks and months. Thank you very much for watching. This has been episode number 137 of Talking Shirts. Check back in another couple of weeks where I'll be back with a brand new episode. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.